Hey, have I got a really gripping video for you today? We're going to have a look at cramps, or what we also call, in a very interchangeable word, with clamps. So cramps are holding devices. And let's start off with this very simple F cramp, which will sort of help us understand the action of the clamp. So the first thing I would do is just wind this handle, because there's a screw thread here, and we can wind this all the way back and create the biggest amount of adjustment possible. So let's say that we're going to glue these two pieces of wood together. We put our PVA glue on ready, and then I'm going to put two pieces of waste wood on either side of the wood so that it doesn't get marked by the tightness of the cramps. And then I can slide the handle up to decrease the gap there. And then by turning the handle, I can just put the pressure on that I need to hold all those pieces of wood together. So let's just do some labeling. We've got here the bar. So this is generally classified as a bar clamp. We've got here a handle, and that handle will turn the screw thread, which will then put the pressure on that we need. This little piece here is like a little wobbly bit. It will rotate a little bit to allow for different angles that you might have on your wood, and we call that the shoe. So and the two red pieces here are the scrap protective pieces. I'll just put that in as protection, scrap protection. Okay. So you can see here that you can get quite a number of different makeups of bar clamps, and also lots of different sizes depending on the job. Now these bar clamps work because as you tighten them up, the arm just sort of tilts a little bit like this, which just puts enough pressure on this point here and this one diagonally opposite, jamming the arm into place and holding it fast. So we've got the arm here, and we've got the locking point along this diagonal. Very good. Now if you want an even longer clamp, then you're going to need this, which is called a sash cramp. And you know, it's really super this for doing very large pieces. And it's one of my favorite clamps because it will really hold your work nice and tight. Now sash was a type of window, and therefore you can see that they're going to be very big if you have to glue up you know, a large window frame. So what we do first of all is we place in a pin into the correct hole that we want, or the nearest hole we can get to, being the right size, and then we slide back this foot here until it gets onto the pin. And then any final adjustments are made here with the threaded bar again. Look at the handle here as well. It's quite long, so you can get really lots of pressure when you turn that handle. You can also find them on a pipe rather than a bar. So we call these pipe cramps. And you can imagine this pipe, you know, goes on for 1.5 meters, 2 meters. And a fairly modern invention are these quick release clamps, because you know all these bar clamps are for quickly being able to move around and reposition, etc. So with this clamp you can move the arm up like this and grip onto your work, and then you can tighten by squeezing with one hand. I'll just bring that back so we can label. This is the quick release mechanism here, and this is the handle for tightening up. And the idea is that you can do this just with one hand while you're holding your wood in place, where the others you tend to need two hands to use. The bar clamps are a sort of an improvement on the good old G cramp, okay? I love these cramps, they've been around for ages. But the problem with them is as we turn the handle, they're very slow to adjust because they've got this fixed frame. But the advantage of it, again, it can really hold your work very tightly without any slippage whatsoever. And you can see here that you're going to need at least 4 clamps to tighten up a box and let it set in place. Another way to glue up a box, particularly if you've got mitre joints on the corner, remember these are joints at 45 degrees. We can use these web cramps, which is really just like a strap which runs round the work and has these corner blocks. Some you get without the corner blocks, you don't really need them, but the corner blocks will hold it at 90 degrees. And then you've got this ratchet device here, which will ratchet up and tighten your pieces in place. And you can also get these, which are called corner clamps or cramps. But there's a word of warning with these. You can see you're going to get a nice 90-degree angle using these cramps. But if you look closely, it's not really forcing this piece of wood onto this other piece of wood here. It's just holding it in place. So I would always put another bar clamp over the top of this to hold it in place. And then the frame here will be exactly in 90 degrees. Perhaps this is a good time to consider the clamping action that we are trying to achieve. If I put the cramp on like this, then all I'm doing is squeezing this piece of wood, and I'm not squeezing the joint. So if I turn the cramp around this way, you can see now that I'm forcing it in this direction, and that will then squeeze out all the air from the glue and get us a nice tight fitting joint. And a little tip is, when you've glued your box up, always measure your inside corners here and across here, and make sure that they're roughly the same, so that you get a nice square box. Now we normally make sure that the bar here is running parallel with your wood, but if you find your box is not quite at 90 degrees, then by changing the angle of your cramp like this, see it's sort of not that way there, exaggerate it a little bit like that, then you will find that you can square up your work without having to take it all apart again. Now that's a nice little free tip you gave there, Simon. Oh, well, you're welcome. All right, here we go. Have you seen one of these, a little hand vise? These are not really for gluing purposes, but they're for holding sort of thin materials when you want to drill them. So it's got this wing nut which will tighten the jaws in place. They're the jaws that we've got there. And here we've got a machine vise, which is for using with the pillar drill and things like that to hold your work down while you're drilling. And just to finish off, let me fit in there, squeeze in the bench vise, which again is for holding your work while you're working on it, but you can glue up things in these vices as well. Thanks for holding your attention so well. I'll catch you next time.